Hello there. I'm David A. Specht, and I want to be your coach. If there's anything that I have learned in my 30 plus years of leadership and coaching, I have learned that mindset is everything. Join me and my guests as we explore the positives and negatives of that thing between our ears. This is Keep This in Mind.
Yep, we're live. Hey, Omar, gotta love technology, especially when you're doing it all yourself. How are you today, my friend?
You're doing better than me. I mean, just the other day, I mastered the abacus onto the word processor.
There you go. How about a little word perfect action to get you really back into things? I still went to typing class, right? They call it keyboarding now.
I went to typing class in both my junior high and high school.
So it's been a minute since we've been live. For those of you who do not know, me and Omar, we have what are we going on, 3-4 year relationship. We're both entrepreneurs, ended up in the same circle and decided, you know what we wanted to help others. And so we decided to start coaching people together while running our own businesses. A lot of that's changed over the course of the last 3 years. We've stepped into some new areas. I want to talk a little bit about that as well. But Omar, it's a very interesting dynamic here, because Omar's from Florida, but went to the LSU in
the Louisiana State University,
yes.
Agricultural and Mechanical College.
There you go.
Yes, I did. I not only did I attend, but I have proof that I did complete my courses there.
And then I lived in Louisiana. I now live in Tennessee, but I'm a huge Florida Gator. So it's like we have the polar opposites, but yet there's so many similarities. It's crazy. I do want to share though, Omar, for those who may or may not be watching, either live or later, I want to talk about the fact that you and I have been in personal development and coaching circles, both on the receiving end and on the giving end, if you will. And what are some of the things that you say, look, these things I know work, and these things, is just the BS that seems to be what people think works?
Oh, Dave, there's two things. There's things that people think works because they've seen it on Instagram. They've seen it on social media. So it's 100% true if it comes off of social media. I mean, a month ago, a landscaper, a guy that owned a landscaping company in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, currently he's living in San Diego, La Jolla Beach, $3 million property, for the low price. Just send him money. He'll show you how to be a rock star, or the 20-something-year-old life coach. It's like, thank you, man. I know you can completely relate to me. The reason why we know what works and what doesn't work is because we didn't take a certification to be a business coach that we could hang on the wall. Grant Cardone, John Maxwell, they all have it, man. I don't know if there's Kinkos around, but we can all print out certificates for you to say that you are a rock star, that you completed this. The only way to be the only way to be a better entrepreneurship and know the answers is actually have skin in the game, be in the game, and actually fail forward. There's been plenty of marketing, plenty of business tips, plenty of stuff that we implemented that fell flat on itself.
Oh, yeah. And you and I think you crossed it a little bit more recently than I have, but you and I have crossed the mid-century mark. And in our 50s, our view of things is far different than it was in our 20s and our 30s and even in our 40s. And some of those lessons that we've learned, at the time, we would have said it was the stupidest thing in the world. We would have said, "Oh no, you don't need to do that. It's this is what you need to do because this is what all the so-called experts say to do." But until you've applied it, and I think I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but you and I have been entrepreneurs and operators, business owners in the trenches while we were coaching. So the things that we're teaching are the things that we're currently using, because yeah, let's face it, the world changes around us, but some of the principles don't. I'm about to give a talk actually in a couple of weeks at a place called 7 Minutes of Impact, and I'm going to talk about how your skill set may not, the job or the business that you have today that you have built a skill set for may not be there tomorrow. So you've got to be able to find the ability to apply your skill set in another direction. And I think as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, that's why we're so well suited for coaching, because we have felt the arrows. We have felt the pavement on our face when we fell flat on it. We also have felt the pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps and saying, okay, today I'm not going to let my business run me. I'm going to run my business. And those experiences, the closer you can get to those experiences, the more I believe you have that you can pour into somebody else, because it's not ancient history, it's recent news.
Well, the Super Bowl just happened, and we all love football, American pastime, North America. Not all of America, but North America. And we all know about the gunslinger. We've watched it, we've seen it. A perfect example of a gunslinger quarterback that had to have years of experience, that had to tone down the emotions until they finally became a grizzled veteran and a leader. Two perfect examples. We're all about the same age: Brett Favre, John Elway. They even have documentaries on both. Brash, young guys straight out of college would throw 3, 4, 500 yards in a game, have 2, 3, 4 interceptions. A lot of their losses self-inflicted. It wasn't until they took the emotion out. Everybody's got talent, but when you're so brash and you think you have all the answers, that's like the person that touches the hot stove and keeps on touching it, saying it'll change. Things only change, when we pivot, when we can take our emotions out, when we lead by doing things calculated, not by the ego, not by saying, hey, I know this is going to work, or hey, this is going to be Instagram famous, this is going to be social media famous after I post this, and it falls flat.
Right.
Why? Because we led with our ego. The ego is the enemy. It's not the way.
I love where you're going with that. And it is, when do you take the zip off the ball, right? When do making those decisions, it's decision making that separates highly talented from highly successful. And when you have talent or you have a skill and you want to share that with the world, either through the avenue of your own business or through opportunities outside of that, and we can talk about public speaking and all those things, but it's knowing when to dial it back, because nobody's on 100% of the time. And when you're on 100% of the time, you lack a vulnerability that makes you real to other people. And as a leader, I've seen this so many times. There's a fine line where you have to be real, but you also have to still have your people feel like you're in charge and you're on top of things. And so it's the person who understands that fine line and how to decide when to cross it and become vulnerable, or when to not cross it and throw a 50-yard pass, in double coverage. That decision making, I believe, comes with a lot of coaching and a lot of experience. And what you find is, like you said, the gunslinger quarterback, if he listens to a great quarterback coach, instead of having that attitude of, well, in college I threw for 3,000 yards a season and 18 touchdowns. Yeah, but this isn't college. You're playing for keeps now. And in the business world, so many, yeah, and I see it from young entrepreneurs all the time. They take the big shot, right? They're going to be the next Grant Cardone, so they max out their credit cards and buy a bunch of properties, that they're going to flip, not knowing one thing about how to flip a property, and they won't listen to anybody. And you're just the old man who didn't make it, when they look at you. Can I tell you, folks, listening to someone, I believe that there is gold in our nursing homes. There is just so much experience from the generation ahead of us, or two generations, I hope, but generations ahead of us, that if we would just take the time to let our ego drop a little bit and listen to them, we would avoid a lot of the pain and heartache in this life that we experience.
Oh, clearly. Clearly. Age, yes, it's just a number, but experience can't be purchased. We can't fast forward like a VHS, I'm a dinosaur, to the parts that we like.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through the fire. You have to go through the A, B, C, D. Uh, and that comes from being with time. I know there's all these programs, how to become a rock star overnight. It never works that way. How to lose weight, 60, 70, 80 pounds overnight. Congratulations. You must have been watching The Biggest Loser. And that nothing like that is sustainable, man. You have to build the muscle. You have to build the mental fortitude. The reason why, if you and I went to Biloxi, Tunica, Vegas, hit the progressive slots, a lot of those people blow through their money because they didn't have the mindset. They didn't have the mental aspect of making their first 10,000,
Right.
100,000, whatever it is. So whenever you want to go for easy, whether it's a shot or you win the lotto, or Uncle Bill or Uncle whomever leaves you money, it's gone. So
Yes.
you have to just say, hey, yes, it sucks, things take time, but greatness takes time. I mean, it took Moses friggin' 40 years to get 17 miles from Egypt to Israel, the promised land. And look how that worked out. So we greatness takes time.
I love that example that you gave, because one of the things I think about in that story is the 17 miles took 40 years because of unbelief. And when you look at that, let's juxtapose. Somebody's like, well, should I go to a conference or should I get a coach? Yes. Should I, should I listen to a podcast or watch a podcast, or should I dive into my business? Yes. It's not a either or scenario. And I will tell you, I went to a conference and it was real estate driven. By the way, I'm an official realtor. I paid my dues. But
I social media stalk you, Dave.
but I went to this conference in Nashville, and it was the first conference I had been to where I wasn't a speaker in like maybe 3 years. And I forgot what it was like sitting in a room having people pour into you from stage. Now, I'm a realist. I know those people from stage. Some of them I know personally, but most of them I didn't. And they may or may not remember me, or, from the handshake selfie that they all do. But here's the thing. I came away with enough nuggets to say, okay, I've got a little bit more clarity today. And then you follow that up with somebody who speaks into your life one-on-one, like a coach. It says, okay, David, you've got your clarity. Now let's get your steps. And I'm going to, you're going to check in with me on Mondays, or I'm going to check in with you on Mondays. And we're going to make sure that you did what you said you were going to do. Again, you need them both. You need the motivation and the clarity and the nuggets and the sound bites to help you open your eyes and remember what's possible and to get really going. But you also need the day-to-day thing. And I think for you and I, that's one of the beauties of how we have lived our lives up to this point, is because we do both. We are invited to stages, and we do pour into people from there from a 30,000-foot view, but we also run a business and we also coach in the trenches. I was on a call with one of our clients at Elevate Success Path a couple months ago, and I said, what's your P&L look like? And they're like, well, I know what money's coming in and what money's going out. I said, no, but what does your P&L look like? Because they had a skill of doing what they do as a person, as a small business owner, but they didn't, they knew how to make what they make, but they didn't know how to run the business that they had and all the things that go into that. And so having been there, you know, they joined our coaching program because of a speech I gave. But the value came when I'm like, I've been where you are, I am where you are. Show me these, and I'll show you some things that you can work on. So again, it's not either or. I think it's and if you can find somebody who's an and in that realm, like you and I are, I think you've got the secret sauce to longevity in whatever business you decide.
Exactly. Life is easy. We just complicate things. In general. I mean, when you talked about all those amazing things, whether it's podcasts, I guess people think I'm a narcissist, and it's not just free information for you to become a better entrepreneur, better salesperson, healthier, live longer. I guess they think my name is under bright lights, and pretty soon I'm going to hang out with Ed Milet and Andy Frisella and play some golf and lift weights. It's about being in service. It's
Yes.
about taking any nugget, and all those conferences are amazing. Any book's amazing. Your book's amazing. My books are amazing, but they don't work. What works is when you take any aspect of that and you implement it.
Oh,
Because we both know seminar junkies, man. You get the dopamine, you do the 10x, you walk on coal, you do everything. You post a pic, you check in, but you can check in, but did you implement? Who
yeah.
cares? Because if you don't implement, you're checked out. Uh, all those things are amazing, but without implementation, and I tell people all the time, oh, well, should I read my book? I don't know. Should you? Yeah, sure. But I'll tell you what, if you don't implement anything, man, there's plenty of Jurassic Park's a better book, man. It'll keep you entertained. I've never read 50 Shades of Grey, but it's way more exciting than all those business books, all those personal development books. After you read a few, you'll realize, holy smokes, I had all the answers within me.
Yeah.
Now let me implement, and on a consistent basis. Because a lot of times I tried it once. Just once. I worked out once.
Yeah.
Like January 2nd.
I went to the gym in 2010, and look at me now.
Yeah, it didn't feel good. I thought I was going to look like I was at Muscle Beach at Gold's Gym with Arnold, and it just didn't work out that way. So I had to quit. I kept on paying my membership, but because I can't be bothered. I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to be a jerk and just cancel on them.
I remember a conversation I had with my dentist when I actually cared. I mean, I still cared. That's not what I mean, but when I was old enough that I wasn't just going as a kid, and I asked him, I said, what's the best toothpaste I can buy, for the longevity of my teeth? And he looked at me straight on. He said, there's a wall of them. Pick one that you're going to use every day. That's
exactly. Well, Dave, about 2 weeks ago, there was a Barnes and Noble that closed. But and any amazing business that closes, there's a process. It's like 100 days of making sure you sell everything, and people are waiting in line, like Disney World size lines, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for that. And I'm like, man, they must be giving away the books for a discount, which
right.
Okay, so your time is not worth anything. And every book was taken. So that means every diet book, every cookbook, every self-development and business book, which there's only like 2 aisles compared to 2-3 stories. I just want you to know
they got 2 aisles of just Harry Potter related books.
Exactly. There's more fiction everywhere.
Yeah.
They know you want to escape your life, and they know that you don't believe that you can be the hero in your own friggin' story.
Yeah.
So, and the best part is those people that picked up those business, personal development books, diet books, it's sitting. People are hoarders, man. They have all these books, but zero implementation. And sometimes they just read like the first 10 pages, and most people, and that's it.
You'll find that most, and I see this in nonfiction all the time. All the great points happen in the first 3 chapters, and then it's just repetition.
Oh, because it's filler.
Yeah,
Because uh, okay, most books that when you self-publish, it's 100 pages.
yeah,
But when someone picks you up, you need to boost the content to 300. And then sometimes you're like John Maxwell and Joel Osteen, and you're like, you know what? We'll use the same stories, but we'll just flip around the chapters,
yeah.
and we'll start the intro a little different. It's the same book, people. Keep on buying it, though. But
Yeah.
have you implemented it? The amount of books that Joel Osteen sold, you think people would be walking?
Everybody be living their best life now, right?
Everybody be living their best life completely. And John Maxwell's books, holy smokes, we're all like General MacArthur.
Yeah, you're right.
When it comes to leadership, we're General Eisenhower, General MacArthur, General Bradley. I mean, we could take over the world.
Yeah.
Us against the enemy, us against evil. But it's not. I mean, when is it time to believe in yourself enough to just implement it?
Absolutely. And I would say this too, it gets back to the and, right? You have to have the and in your life. It's not either or. I've not read enough books. I've not listened to enough podcasts. I've not watched enough whatever. But here's the thing. That's because my focus keeps changing through the course of a day. And I may have forgotten what I learned here. Or I may have forgotten what I learned there. And I have to be reminded of it. So you need that. But then again, we all need somebody to help hold us accountable, whether it's gently, with a cheerleader rah-rah, or it's a kick in the pants because, you're not doing what that person believes you should or could be doing. So when you have both of them in play, all of a sudden you have this formula. Now, again, they're not going to do the work for you. I'm not going to do the work for you. Omar's not going to do the work for you. Certainly Tony Robbins isn't going to do the work for you.
Not even his assistant.
Not even his assistant.
His assistant's going to do the work.
But I will tell you this, because I've learned it in my own life. Even light accountability might be just enough of a push to get you from where you are to where you want to go. I remember when I was running a newspaper that I didn't own, but it was in my family, and my bosses would come over every Tuesday for a meeting at 9 a.m. Well, guess what? Every Tuesday at 8 a.m., I'm cleaning office. I'm making sure my stuff's stacked. I'm making sure I have my agenda right. I'm making sure I have answers to their questions. Did they say, hey, David, when we come over there, you're going to need to have all this stuff done? No. But I learned over time that little bit of accountability began to develop a habit in me, that even if it was just on Tuesdays, but then Tuesday spread over to, well, it's easier to keep an office clean than to have a massive cleanup every Tuesday at 8 a.m. It's easier to be on top of the numbers than to have to crunch and study right up until the meeting. It's easier to, and as I began to learn that and I got into the habit of it, then it became second nature. Then I wasn't scrambling at 8 a.m. on Tuesday for the 9 a.m. meeting. I was like, okay, they'll be here at 9. So I say that to say, sometimes your coach, just knowing that you have that regularly scheduled meeting with your coach will help you prepare and get into some good habits because you know what they're expecting of you.
Well, because you don't like letting people down.
Right.
We all have that. We don't want to disappoint. So when I had a business coach, the worst thing I ever wanted to tell her was, yeah, I didn't get it done. Well, and why? We're working on time. We can't say it's time. Can I? And the truth, we always lie about the truth. So because I didn't feel I needed to do it. I felt I wasn't good enough, or I had to stream every episode of Stranger Things, even though I've seen it a bunch of times. Yeah, there's the honest truth scares us. And can you lie to your coach? Sure. I, I know plenty of people that go to a therapist and they're so embarrassed of their life and the craziness and the toxicity, they lie,
Mm.
and then they wonder why when you can't be open and vulnerable and you lie to yourself, nothing gets done. All you're doing is paying a therapist so you can replay over and over again the same trauma that's been bothering you for years and years and years.
Good. That's good. Well, Omar, again, thank you for taking time out. I want us to do this a little bit more often. I think there's a lot of people out there that would benefit from it. Guys, look, you can join us on Elevate Success Path. It's elevatesuccesspath.com. We'd be glad to have you in our community. We put exclusive content in that community. We have one-on-one coaching that you can schedule for monthly. So it's all very, very good. I do want to say too, though, that there are opportunities to, Omar, he has speaking engagements that he's a part of down his way. I have them up my way. Those help you because it forces us to self-evaluate and realize what we're doing to make sure that we're bringing value. I talked about 7 minutes of impact. We're bringing TEDx here to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and can you believe it's a month from today, Omar, that TEDx is going to go on here? So it's just I say that to say where you want us to be. We are on the stages giving value, but we're also in the trenches giving value and learning the craft and learning what works and what doesn't work. And so I encourage you, if you're not following Omar, follow him on all of his channels. If you're not following me, follow me on all my channels. But engage with us, DM us, whatever method you want to make contact with. Let's have a conversation about where you are and how we can help you. No obligation, no, hey, go to my landing page, no, any of that. A real connection and a real conversation with a real human being.
Exactly. And you know what, Dave, have you ever seen me go, well, I did not speak to that person because he didn't give me money.
No, no.
Whatever you want to talk about. Just don't talk politics because I can care less.
Yeah.
Now I will needle a topic just to because I love attention on either or. But I mean, if perfect example, if you can't master on either side someone else's opinion based on what they like or what they don't like for a halftime show, if you can't handle that emotion, you feel like you can handle a multi-million-dollar business.
Ooh, come on, preach. I think that I heard somebody say this. I think it was Kevin O'Leary was talking about Steve Jobs. And he said, Steve Jobs had the unique ability to cancel out any noise that kept him from what he was wanting to do. And he said, it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter what you threw at him. It didn't matter how loud you got. If it didn't fit in the box that he's like, I'm doing this, he didn't hear it. He didn't deal with it. And I think highly successful people have that ability. It's not that they don't experience negativity. It's not that they don't experience crap shows. They don't let the outside taint their focus. And I believe that's one of the beauties of what a good, I think about Tim Grover and how he coached Kobe and he coached MJ and he coached Dwayne Wade. They already had the skills necessary to be highly successful in the NBA. He helped them train their bodies to a place where they had muscle memory to where they could make the shot, in triple overtime from 50 foot away. He created in them. And that's what you have to be able to do, whether it's up here or in your body. to be able to create that muscle memory that regardless of what's going on out here, you can stay headed toward what your goal is.
Exactly. Exactly. And perfect example. Dave said it best. He's a Gator fan. One of their biggest rivals is LSU. We've known each other where both sides have lost in any sport. I mean,
And we talk crap.
We they do play, unlike the bandwagon fans, they play every sport, women's tennis, you name it, and it really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, am I going to hate on Dave? Am I going to hate on anybody that went somewhere different or love a different team? Who cares? Everybody has a different opinion, and that's what makes the world beautiful. Why do we want to? You know how boring it would be if we all wanted to watch Brantley Gilbert, and we, or how boring it would be. Who cares? Enjoy, embrace, and yes, I had a friend, that huge University of Florida fan, that stopped talking to me because Lane Kiffin chose LSU. I didn't realize I was in the negotiations for Lane Kiffin to be hired at LSU.
Oh Lord.
If that was the case, I would have, made sure Nick Saban didn't leave for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Gosh. Well, at least we're not Alabama fans.
And full disclosure, if Lane Kiffin would have said that Gainesville is where his heart is, we'd still be having this conversation.
Absolutely. And wow. Well, guys, hope you enjoy your Thursday. I hope this was of value to you. Again, reach out to one of us. Omar, what's the best ways to reach you? What is all the gives?
What if it did work? Join the page. I haven't DM'd anybody on pitching them. No one can say that. And you know what? Ask any question you want, but don't DM me about crypto, Forex, that you can make me a millionaire, that, you can make I can have 1,000 appointments if I hire you.
Oh yeah. Generate guaranteed leads. Yes, let's go.
Exactly. We could just turn your reels. Pretty soon you can be competing with Anthony Robbins and Grant Cardone.
Whatever. Like I said, exactly. I'd much rather help the one than to bilk the many. And that's how I live my life. I know that's how you live your life. Guys, thank y'all for joining us on this live. I hope it's been of value to you. Again, reach out to me, reach out to Omar, join What If It Did Work. Go to elevatedsuccesspath.com. And we'll do this again, hopefully sooner rather than later. God bless.
That is going to do it for this episode of Keep This in Mind. For more, visit davidaspecht.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you for listening, and remember, applied knowledge is power. God bless.